Okay, we're recording.
Perfect.
I'm going to let everyone, I'm going to share my screen and then we'll let everyone in.
Perfect.
And I might just put my mic on mute.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We've got a couple of people joining now. You can see Ella, a few other people. Hi, everyone. Now, if you want, you can keep your cameras on. You can keep them off. The session is being recorded, so whatever you feel most comfortable with. But we might wait just another minute to see if we have anyone else joining.
I feel like Thursday night, everyone's maybe a little bit slower today. They'll come on.
They'll
End of the
come
week.
on.
This is fun because it's like the equivalent of our Friday, pretty much.
Exactly. So excited for a long weekend. Mol and Lottie, do you have any plans for over Easter, and anyone else who wants to join in the chat or come off mute? Any plans over the long weekend?
Yeah,
I am up at the Central Coast. Oh, sorry, you go first, Molly.
Oh, sorry. I am just hanging out with my family. I'm home from uni for a little while, so it'll be nice just to be with my family, but nothing too major.
That will be nice. In Dubbo for the weekend.
Yeah.
How fun. Is it meant to be hot out there this weekend?
I don't know. We had a bit of a weird day today. Like, it was so cold when I woke up this morning. I was like, definitely jumper weather. And then I went out and I was like sweating, so I don't really know what's happening.
What about
I
you,
feel like
Lottie?
it's
What's
always
planned?
the way. I'm on the Central Coast this weekend, so my boyfriend's family lives up here. So excited to be by the beach, doing all of those kinds of fun things, catching up with friends. Should be nice and wholesome.
That is nice. It's nice to be out of the Sydney noise for the weekend. I'm sure we can probably all relate to that.
Yeah. What about you, Rubes?
I'm down on the South Coast where my family lives, so very slow and wholesome weekend for me too, which I'm really looking forward to.
I feel like the start of this year has just flown by. So it's just nice to have that like reset, to be like, I've got a couple of books that I want to read, a couple of recipes that I want to make. Won't be attempting hot cross buns. I feel like that's just way too hard. And then just recharge.
So I saw a TikTok the other day and it's like, how am I already halfway through my first semester of uni when I graduated high school like yesterday? I was like, it's so true. I hate it.
What do you think, Imogen? Should we get started? And I'm sure people will keep joining as we continue.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea if you want to jump into it.
All right. Well, hello and welcome, everyone. We are so happy to be spending this wonderful Thursday evening with all of you. So my name is Ruby Reithmuller, and I'm the founder and CEO of an organisation called Womankind. And I'm joined by two incredible guest speakers, Lottie Dalziel, the founder and CEO of Banish, and Molly Croft, the president and co-founder of the Tie-Dye Project. So you can see their beautiful faces here. You already know that they're very friendly, chatting about their long weekend plans. So I will give these women a proper introduction in a minute, but it is safe to say that they are both powerhouses, influencers, advocates, and just some of the best people. So we are really excited to learn from them today. So today's workshop is all about social media, creativity, and cultivating meaningful communities online. And I think that at the heart of all of those things is storytelling. And the superpower that Molly and Lottie both have is that they are storytellers. So I would like to start by acknowledging the original storytellers, the traditional custodians of this beautiful land, and pay my deepest respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'm joining this workshop from Newen Country down on the south coast of New South Wales, and we would love for you to put in the chat which Aboriginal land you are joining from today. So a little bit about me. I'm going to be your MC for today. So I grew up on a farm just outside of Wagga Wagga. I'm living in Sydney at the moment, but call the South Coast home with my family. I run Womankind, which is a leading youth mental health organisation empowering girls and gender diverse young people to become the best versions of themselves. And we've supported over 25,000 young people now across Australia and in 37 countries via the Womankind app, which is pretty cool. But this workshop has been brought together by Women New South Wales and the Rural Women's Network, which are two very powerful initiatives of the New South Wales government, and they're committed to advancing gender equality and empowering women across the state. So from driving policy change to supporting leadership, education and safety of women and girls, they ensure that the voices of women and girls, including those of us who call regional, rural and remote New South Wales home, are heard and valued and celebrated. So we are very grateful to them for putting on this amazing event. So before we get into the fun things, we have a few little housekeeping things. So I just wanted to remind you that this workshop is being recorded. So you can have your cameras on or have them off, or whatever you prefer. Ideally have your microphones off unless you want to say something or ask a question, but you can also do that in the chat if you feel most comfortable to do that. And we're really hoping that this is going to be really interactive. So please don't be afraid to ask questions and engage throughout. We are equally as excited to learn from you during this workshop, and being a smaller group, we're really looking forward to getting into the nitty-gritty of social media and being able to ask some of the hard questions when it comes to social media. So we have an interactive poll that we're going to do now, and it should pop up on our screens in a moment. But if it doesn't, we will pivot. But you'll see on these slides as well that there's QR codes to all of the Instagram pages. So definitely stay connected with Molly from the Tie-Dye Project, Lottie from Banish, myself from Womankind, and also the Rural Women's Network and Women New South Wales. So if you want, and you're not already connected with us online, you can scan those QR codes. Now, to our first poll.
I'm really struggling with this question. I know that I shouldn't be, but I'm finding it really hard to pick just one.
I know, can we pick multiple?
What should we do? Should we say the one that we spend the most time on? Because I feel like that changes it.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
My bot is disabled. Oh, there we go. I submitted my vote. I'm in the minority group. Should I let everybody know what I am?
I think so.
I was TikTok. And I'm the only person who voted TikTok. Oh.
I'm not sure if it's working though.
Looks like Insta is the clear winner.
Yep. Which is fair enough. I feel like Instagram's obviously been around for that little bit longer, so maybe we're a bit more familiar with it. But it's a tough race between the two, I would say.
Yeah, agreed.
LinkedIn, maybe not so much.
Hey, somebody voted for LinkedIn. Was that you, Molly? You voted for LinkedIn.
It wasn't me, but I do love LinkedIn.
I do love LinkedIn. I feel like it's just completely different to what we're used to, that kind of more doom scrolling nature of TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Do we have another poll?
That's it for the moment, but there will be more polls to come.
Okay, perfect. So let me tell you a little bit more about Lottie and Molly. So we'll start with Lottie. And Lottie Dalziel is an award-winning sustainability advocate, educator, author and founder of Banish, a platform dedicated to empowering Australians with the knowledge and tools to live more sustainably. So she was the 2023 New South Wales Young Australian of the Year. She has been recognised in the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, is a TEDx speaker, the author of 365 Ways to Save the Planet and Your Money, and is now inspiring more than 150,000 people via social media. So it's safe to say that Lottie is educating people all over the place, and it is so inspiring to see not only her reach, but I'm sure that a lot of her content has landed on your For You pages, like the viral Easter egg, how you can recycle Easter eggs at the moment. I know that that's been sent around in so many group chats of mine. But we're very lucky to have Lottie with us today. And then our second guest speaker is Molly Croft, who is a passionate advocate, community leader, and cancer survivor dedicated to driving positive change and supporting others. So Molly is the co-founder and president of the Tie-Dye Project, which has raised over $1 million for cancer research and support services. And Molly is a motivational speaker, member of the Dubbo Regional Youth Council, previous member of the Youth Advisory Council. She's the Kids Cancer Project ambassador and so much more. And Molly is led by the idea of finding a rainbow in every day, and she is certainly a role model to many, many people, including myself. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome Molly to talk about finding confidence in the digital world, showing up authentically, and being real on social media. So take it away, Moll.
I don't think there's any sound on that one. I think you need to just mute it at the
One
bottom. Unmute it.
moment. Yes, I can see that. Okay, we'll try that one again.
What's your name?
Molly,
Molly who?
Molly Claire Croft,
And how old are you, Molly?
5.
What's been the best thing that's happened to you in your life?
We have 3 friends over in one day.
Oh, really, darling?
Yeah. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Let's take a step back in time. Silly songs and nursery rhymes. Every day's band-aid needs. Story time and childhood dreams. Now here we are in a different world. Borrowed time, unspoken words. Battle scars and hope one thin, but the same young heart that won't give in. Brave and strong, keep fighting on. I'm always by your side. I'll catch you when you fall. Climb mountains, break down walls. I'll find your words to speak. We're not giving in. This war will win, always by your side.
So, hi everyone. I'm Molly Croft, and first, before anything, I just want to say thank you so much for having me speak tonight and registering. I don't know how influential I am, but I think that was a very nice intro, Rubes, but I'm really grateful that you all chose to spend your Thursday night here. But before I say anything else, I do want to acknowledge that video that you just watched. It's a lot, right? Especially for this hour at night and after I'm sure you've all had a very busy day getting into the Easter weekend. But I did want to show you it because I think it gives you a very small part of what the last few years of my life have looked like. It takes you on a journey that I thought my life would never look like. To give you a little bit more context, on my 12th birthday, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a type of bone cancer. In the space of a single conversation, I went from being a kid who was focused on sport and, probably being a little bit naughty at school to a kid facing major surgery, rounds of chemo, and the, challenge of just pretty much facing my life. It was scary and it was painful and at times lonely. There were moments where I didn't really feel brave and there were moments that I didn't think I was going to make it. And honestly, there were moments that I didn't feel like me anymore. But Through all of it, the hospitals, the treatments, the rehab, I did discover something. I discovered a purpose. Now, it sounds a bit funny, but honestly, I feel so privileged to be where I am at now in my life. I learned through that in the darkest of moments, there's always a reason to smile, and there's always a rainbow to be found, which is a massive part of my story and who I am now. And through that, I was lucky enough to, alongside my best friend Amy Parmento, who's one of our Australian netballers, co-found the Tie-Dye Project. Now, the Tie-Dye Project started in memory of Amy's mum, Jilly. I met Amy in 2018 when I was in a pretty hard spot during my journey, and she was doing an appearance. She was a Giants player at the time, and she came, and there was one girl that was going to meet her. You know, I was an absolute netty nut, and if there was one girl that was going to meet her, it was going to be me. And so I met Ames this day, and she became a constant throughout my cancer journey. She became like my big sister, and it was a pretty low point that she came to me, and she come with this idea of the tie-dye project. Tie-dyeing was something that her sisters and her mum used to do when her mum was still here, just for around Christmas time and to give a few presents to family, because they saw it in a market one day and saw how much it was selling for. So they decided they were going to do their own. Anyway, she came to me and she asked me if I wanted to jump on board and if we wanted to create something to raise a bit of money for cancer research. I said 100% yes, and it just clicked straight away. We used a little saying that I used during my journey to look for a rainbow in every day to create the mantra of the Tie-Dye Project. Sarcoma is a really nasty cancer, and as they all are, but sarcoma is probably one of the nastier ones. And we knew that it's a space that is so hard to navigate, but if we could create this color and we could create this positivity around trying to find research and trying to create awareness, that's what we wanted to do. So what started off with a few colourful shirts in a backyard. We didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a marketing team. Still really don't. We were absolutely winging it. But what we did have and what we do have is a passion, a bit of creativity in there, and a deep desire to do something meaningful with the shared pain that Amy and I have both experienced. We wanted to raise awareness for sarcoma, which is a childhood cancer. We wanted to be able to honour the incredible kids and young adults that we'd met along the way, some of who are no longer here. We wanted to remind people of joy and colour and hope that can still exist, even in the face of such hard times. Before we knew it, those backyard t-shirts turned into a national movement. Schools, sport clubs, communities right across Australia were wearing tie-dye, not just as a fashion statement, which, it sometimes is a hard fashion statement to pull off, but more as a statement of support, a statement of love, a statement that they stood by kids fighting sarcoma. That's something I hold very close to my heart. But I guess being at a social media Zoom webinar, I guess you're probably thinking, how did it grow into that? Because it sounds all super simple and easy. I guess, how did a teenager from Dubbo at the time and an Australian athlete create a charity and now raise over $1 million for sarcoma research? I say it sounds like the start of a joke. But I guess the real answer, it wasn't about going viral. It wasn't about, trying to reach the most amount of people. It was literally just about being real. We used social media not to sell something, but to share. We posted videos of us tie-dyeing thousands of shirts in a little backyard, literally laughing, dancing, stressing. But most importantly, we posted about remembering friends who were no longer with us, talking about the really tough days, as well as the really beautiful ones too. We definitely weren't polished. We still aren't. We weren't perfect, but we were honest. And people really connected with that honesty. They didn't just double tap a post. They didn't just like it. They started conversations. They shared their own stories. They hosted tie-dye days at their school and clubs. And suddenly it wasn't a little project anymore. We were doing our part, and it was a movement, and we were making the much needed change and being a voice for sarcoma. And for me, that's the power of social media. When it's used with heart, it can literally do anything. As young women especially, we are constantly being told what we should look like, sound like, and how to act. The pressure to be perfect online, the filters, the aesthetics. I like aesthetics as much as everyone, but honestly, it can be really exhausting. But along the way, and I am only 18, so I don't know too much, but I have learnt a few things. I've learnt that real always wins. Authenticity cuts through all of that noise. It makes people stop scrolling and start to feel something. And I guess that's why I did want to show you that little video at the start. Because I think when you watch that, you don't just see photos on the screen, you feel something. And that's something that I'm very proud to say. Personally, on my social media, I've shared everything from hospital updates, to me it's sport things, to late night reflections, to silly photos with my friends. I've spoken about grief. I've spoken about the disability that I now live with. And I've spoken about hope. And you know what? The posts that had the biggest impact out of all of them weren't the ones with the perfect caption or the good photos. They were the ones where I was just real and honest. So if you're sitting here tonight and you take away anything from what I say, I just want to leave you with a few things. Number one, start with heart. People scroll past perfection. I feel like we can all agree with that. But they do stop for purpose. What matters most isn't how pretty your feed looks. It's whether your message makes people feel something. Number two, be bold with your creativity. For the tie-dye project, it was tie-dye. It was colour. But for you, it might be music, sports, art, video, fashion, humour, literally anything. Whatever it is, let it reflect you and let it tell your story. On the back of that, number three, tell your story, not someone else's version of it. What makes you different on social media is your quirks, your struggles, and your passions. They're not things to hide, they're things to celebrate. Number four, create a community, not just content. Don't just post and disappear. I feel like I'm super guilty of that, and it's something I'm still trying to learn. Reply to comments, ask questions, show up for people. That's where the real connection is, and that's where impact starts. And most importantly, stay grounded. Social media is not a tool. It's something that can honestly change the way that you do things. But it's also not your worth. Set boundaries, take breaks when you need them, protect your space and peace. And lastly, keep learning. I know for one, I am so excited to listen to Lottie speak. She's literally the queen of social media, and I know I still have a lot to learn. But I think, social media is forever changing and forever evolving, and I know that it's just something that we all have to learn day by day and piece by piece. But I know that you taking the step to be here is already a step in the right direction. So I feel like I've already gone over my time limit speaking, but I was so excited to share my story and get to share my little knowledge around social media in the first place, but just share a few things I learned along the way. So I guess I'll finish how I finish all of my talks, and that is, I'm Molly Croft, and I'm very proud to say that I'm still standing. So thanks, everyone.
Oh gosh, Mol, you always leave me feeling so emotional, but in such a full way. When people fill your cup, you are the epitome of someone who just fills everyone's cup. And I've seen you at the Tie-Dye Project events and other events, and you've got kids and people of all ages just hanging off you, wanting any bit of time and wisdom from Molly Croft. So you should be so proud of what you've created and the authenticity of your social media, but also your brand and your personal brand is just so strong, and it really resonates. So I'm feeling very inspired by you as always. But we're going to ask a few questions. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat because we really want to hear from our community. We've got a few people saying that you're very inspiring, which you absolutely are, Mol. But the first question that I have for you, while everyone else might have a think and pop theirs in the chat, is obviously starting can be really hard and really daunting, and you might be thinking, what are people going to think of me? Is this going to gain traction? All of those things. And I think that when we are passionate about something, sometimes we think that we're not ready to start it yet. What would your advice be? Because you're someone who didn't wait to feel ready to make the change. Like you said, you're still winging it. Like, how do you find that confidence to just take it day by day and lean into the process of learning and not knowing and figuring it out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, honestly, my life has so many uncertainties already in it, going through what I have. So I guess hopping online, it's something that I see as a privilege. It's not something that, many of my friends who are no longer here, they didn't have the opportunity to do that. They didn't have the opportunity to try and fight for a better research, better support systems in the cancer space. So me personally, I think that's a big driving factor. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think my mum still literally has to message me and be like, put up a post. Like if it's something that, I'm still an 18-year-old girl, and I say it doesn't matter about your feed looking pretty, but still there is that little bit in your head that, especially on your personal side, you want to. But I think it's just about being brave and taking that step. And I think, as I said, people want real, and people, I think it's a big thing for me this year has been about, not always picking the photo where I look the best in, looking the photo where that, you can see what's happening in the moment. And so for me, I think it's, as I said, it's still something I'm learning, and it's something that, I'm not even 100% confident with yet, but I think, you have to find yourself a community, especially online. And it is hard because once you post something, it's out there for everyone. But if you can find yourself, and if you can know that, in that follow account, you can think of people that, whatever you post, they're gonna love it, and they're gonna back you up. And I think I just got to remember that that's who I'm doing it for. And anyone else who's going to judge, you just have to let them judge, because you can't control that.
I love that. And I feel like, when we think about social media, it's just like, you look at the followers and you think, oh, that's 5,000 people, or it's 150,000 people. And you can't really get a sense of how many people that is until you try and visualize 5,000 people in a stadium, or 150,000 people in a stadium. So I think when you reflect on how many young people you've connected with from all over Australia who are either going through what you went through or going through what you're still going through, what has those connections and that friendship taught you?
Yeah, sure. I think in the space that I'm in, I have a lot of people reach out who are in similar positions that I was in, or still I'm in now. And for me, I guess they're the people that I've learned real bravery from. And you asked about whether or not you post online. My best friend Toby, who is no longer here, he passed away from leukemia, and he's constantly in the back of my mind. He showed me what real bravery was. I remember I was with him the week before he passed away, and we were together, and he knew he was terminal, he knew he was ill, and we were walking around the Australian Zoo, and he offered me his wheelchair because I was still, learning to walk again. And that's real bravery for me. So when it comes to posting on social media, as I said, it's something I'm lucky to do. And, anyone who is in the position that they can judge, they're in a very privileged position that, I think we just have to remember that. So for me, those connections taught me more than I can put into words. They taught me what real strength is, what real bravery is. And they just taught me that, you have to fight. If you want something, you have to fight for it. And for me, I want a cure for sarcoma. So even if it's the worst photo I've ever taken in my life, but if there's a story behind it, I'm going to put it up there, because I'm fighting for that change.
Absolutely. And you are creating that change, which is just so amazing to see. And another question that I have, and again, if anyone else has any questions, please don't be afraid to put them in the chat because we are so keen to hear your questions. But
We do have
we've talked.
some questions
Oh,
in the chat rooms if we want
okay.
to
I
jump to a
can't
couple of
see
those.
any, but if you,
No worries, I can read them out for you if you'd like.
that would be great. Thank you so much.
So we have one from Lottie.
Yeah.
Going through what you've been through would have been so difficult and isolating. Have you been able to connect with others who are on their journey as well?
Yeah, so I touched on that a little bit. Like I've been lucky enough now to meet a lot of a lot of people who, from all different walks of life who have had to go through something similar to me, or have had to go through a challenge just of any sort. And I do feel very privileged every time I get to meet someone like that. I think I take so much away from them. I think there's so much to say in online being able to connect you to literally anyone anywhere, which is a very scary thing, but it's also a really amazing thing. I will tell a story. I remember sarcoma, as I mentioned, is a really nasty cancer. It's a cancer that kills more 15 to 29-year-olds than any other type of cancer, yet it receives less than 0.1% of funding, which means that the treatment and the resources, unfortunately, haven't changed in about 20 years. And so I remember it was my first round of chemo, and in the cancer ward at the Westmead Children's Hospital, there's a wall of photos of survivors and their cancer. And I was going to my first round and went by this wall, and I turned to my mum and I said, there's not a single sarcoma person on that wall. And that's the real and raw and honest truth, is that unfortunately there's not a lot of survivors left. And so for me, being lucky enough to be in the position I am in, and to be able to reach so many people, whether or not there's someone on their wall at hospital, all they have to do is just have a look online, and I'll be there, and I'm very privileged to talk to them in any moment that I can.
That's amazing, Mol. And I think that's the power of social media. It's being able to connect with people, not just all across Australia, but all across the world who share a similar story to you. And it might be that you don't ever get the opportunity to meet them face to face or in real life, but you get to connect with this much larger circle. So I love that question. And maybe we can finish with this question for now. And it is from Ella, and it is, has it been helpful doing this project and facing social media world with your friend Amy? Like, do you feel like going into this project and showing up on social media has been less daunting or more exciting doing it alongside someone?
Yeah, 100%. The Tie-Dye project is made up of 100% volunteers. So nobody gets paid, and that means 100% of our proceeds go towards sarcoma research, which means that when we hold an event and we get, a few hundred people there, 100% of those people there want to be there, and they're wanting to make the change. And it is literally the most hard work that you have to do. You tie-dye for 4 days straight. You never want to see another tie-dye thing at the end of it, but it's also the most fun that you ever have. And it's this space where you can be sitting down next to an Australian athlete, and just a kid going through a cancer battle, or just a kid who has seen the Tie-Dye project and love what we do. And in that moment, you're there for the same cause. And so all of our social media and everything like that, it's real, and it's people who want to be there. And so being able to, have that fun with it, and it's not feeling that you need to do anything, or it's something that I am really grateful for. But on the flip side of that, it also means that our social media is very chaotic. You'll probably see on there, if you have a look, that there'll be like 4 posts in a row and then nothing for 4 months, because nobody's doing it. No one's paid to do it. So we're just having fun with it. And if you have time, you put one up. But that also means there's about like 20 people logged into the one Instagram. So sometimes there'll be like 2 of the same posts, and Amy and I'll get on the phone and be like, did you do one? She's like, yeah. And I'll be like, oh, I also did one. We'll have to delete one. And it's a bit chaotic, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm very grateful to have Ames with me and along for the ride, especially in the position that she's in.
I love that. And everyone should definitely follow the Tie-Dye project, because the content that they do share, especially over that 4-day period where they're tie-dyeing, is gold. So it's worth it, even if only for that 1 week of
You'll see
pure
a post in
daily
November.
content. So good. Well, thank you so much, Mol, and we might have time to ask you a few more questions after as well.
I definitely went over. I'm sorry, everyone.
No, that was
Not at
perfect.
all. And just before we move on, we do have a poll that Molly has created. So I'm going to chuck that into the chat now. And we would love to see your answers when it loads.
Just thinking.
Can people see the poll?
This is a tough one.
Mm.
Tie-dye's looking popular, very on brand.
I'm trying to vote for yellow and it won't let me. So I'm
No.
1 vote for yellow.
Well, I've put green because I find social media so confusing, which is why I'm very excited to be here tonight to learn from the experts. So that was where my vote went.
It's great to see that there's a big range of how people are feeling with social media at the moment. And the important thing to know that if you're feeling overwhelmed with social media, you can very easily delete the app for a little moment, turn off notifications, take yourself off the app when you are needing a break, because there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now we are going to hear from Lottie, who's going to continue on our theme about confidence and content creation, and especially how she creates those really impactful and viral reels. So Lottie, over to you.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for having me. And thanks, Molly, for sharing your story. It was so lovely to hear from you and hear about your journey. I think the beauty of social media is that you can use the platform for so many different reasons. You can get out there and you can reach a lot of people, or it can be just a way to connect with your friends and family in your own community as well. I use social media for a lot of education. So, running Banish, which is an education platform that teaches Australians how to live more sustainably. For us, why I say us is because I speak for the community, is it's all about reach and it's all about how many people that we can really impact and influence. I started Banish 7 years ago off the back of a New Year's resolution to live more sustainably or to do better for the planet. I didn't know exactly what that would look like, but if you can think back to 7 years ago, there was still plastic bags in supermarkets, still plastic straws in I don't know, absolutely everything. There was plastic everywhere, and I think what I was feeling as an individual was that I was seeing the doom and the gloom in those news headlines starting to appear. Things like there'll be more plastic than fish in the sea by 2050, or that almost 1,600 kilos of plastic enters our oceans every hour. And I'd read all of these articles and I'd digest all of this information and I'd feel really disheartened and overwhelmed. But I just wanted somebody to say, yes, this is happening, but here's how to do something about it. Here's how you can turn this climate despair, or just in general, what information's been told in science, it's been told of you. Here's how you can actually take action and do something about it. And when I couldn't find anybody or any brand or any enterprise talking about it and teaching people how to live more sustainably, I decided to create the solution for the problem that I was facing, and that was Banish. So that's kind of the why behind it. It was 7 years ago now, so I've been running it for a very long time, but it all started on social media because I thought about it and I went, well, for me, what I'm feeling right now on my sustainability journey is isolated. I feel like I'm the only one that's feeling like this. I feel like I'm one of very few people that wants to do something, but also doesn't want to completely quit plastic altogether. there was a lot of information out there for people who were living off the grid in a tiny home and had dreadlocks and all of these different things. And I was just going, but I still want to live in the city. I still want to drive my car every now and again. I still think I'm going to be consuming plastic, but I know that I can be doing better than I'm currently doing. So I started documenting my journey to reducing my plastic consumption first and foremost. So I quite literally would just be saying, today I'm going to be doing this. I'd set myself weekly challenges, and I would just get on stories back then, and I would just share what I was doing. I used to walk to work every day, and I used to film my stories on the way to and from work. And I remember getting beeped so many times by people because I was that person that was like walking down the street. I was like, but I'm not trying to look pretty. I'm just trying to talk to people about how to live more sustainably. But I just kept on doing it, and I just kept on showing up. And I think it was interesting when I was starting to kind of connect with people online. It wasn't when I was there saying, these are all of the things that went really well for me this week. Here is everything that was a success. It was when I tried to be one of those people that has like a glass jar with all of their rubbish in it, and it took me 4 days to fill up the whole jar. And I was going, I've been trying really hard, but it's already filled up. And that was when I'd start to get people saying, oh my gosh, I've tried this too. Or, but you did such a good job. And even though it was 4 days, it'd be me in like 3 hours would have filled that whole jar. So it was quite an organic growth, I would say, because that was where I was looking to connect with people. I was looking for other people who felt like me. But also, I think by documenting my journey, it allowed me to grow and develop my voice and how I wanted to show up online. I have been online now for a very long time, and through that, there's been so many different evolutions of it. There have been times where I was posting one YouTube video every week. There have been times when TikTok came out, so I was trying to figure out how that all worked. There were times when threads were here. Well, the threads technically are still here, but there was guides for a while. I don't know if anybody remembered those things. They're gone now. All of these different things, and it was just kind of playing around with. Ultimately, the aim is just to connect with people and to be that kind of like bite-sized piece of information in their feed. Because when I approach living sustainably, it's not, I give the analogy of like, if you wanted to become healthier, you wouldn't sign up to run a marathon, you wouldn't quit dairy and sugar, and you wouldn't become a bodybuilder all in the same week. Because you quite literally, it would be unsustainable. You would fall off the bandwagon and it wouldn't work. With living sustainably, it's very similar. You need to take those small incremental steps to build habits that in the long run will make a really big impact and a big difference. So the way that I approach the content that I put out on social media is that bite-sized. They're those little snippets of information so that when you're scrolling in your feed, it slots in and it's that little reminder about, hey, as Ruby mentioned, here's how I can recycle my Easter egg wrappers. Or, hey, this is what you could be doing with your worm farm. Or, hey, have you seen what we're up to and how we're transforming hard to recycle items into new things? It's a very positive platform, the one that we've created. It's very much about positivity. There are no seabirds with plastics in their stomachs. For me, that just sends me the other way and it doesn't make me want to take action. So how I use social media is to create those bite-sized little things that just grab people and they can take it away and remember it, or they can share it with a friend. And it's something that's so tangible and so easy. They don't need to do 2,000 things at once, but they can just do that one little thing and make a change. And then maybe next week they'll see more of our content, and then they can then make another change. So I think I've got a poll as well. So I might get you, Imogen, to pop that up first. So we run this thing on Instagram every Wednesday night, which is called Bingo. Which bin should this item go in? And I have quite literally been running it for 6 years. So every Wednesday I get on Instagram and I say, I literally know it off the back of my head. I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Wednesday. It's time to talk about recycling. Today, I'm going to put up one different item. you need to tell me which bin you think this item should go in. And then we just use the polling functions on Instagram stories, and then people click whether yes, they can recycle something, or no, they can't recycle it. So I'll get Imogen to put in the chat the poll so that you guys can be tested and we can see which bin do you think that you should put a single-use coffee cup in. I actually now, all of a sudden, I can't see anybody's answers. So that's no fun.
I think this is because it's a yes or no question rather than a. So I think
maybe we can be brave and react. Like, should we do
Yeah,
thumb
that's
up
cool.
for
Yeah,
yeah,
so
let's
we could do thumbs up for recycling and then a love heart for landfill. Does that make sense? If everyone just shares a thumb up for recycling and then a heart for landfill. Amazing. Drum roll, please. The right answer for this one is red bin. So for everybody who shared a heart, you were correct then. So with single-use coffee cups, they look like they're paper, but they're also lined with a layer of plastic, which means that you can't put them into your yellow bin because they're a mixed material. So that's why we need to put them into our landfill bins, or of course not use them at all. So as you can see, that was like a very quick, a very snappy little thing. Ali, no, sorry, the lid can't go in your yellow bin because it is made from polystyrene, which is a really hard plastic to recycle. Look, get me started on recycling and we will be here all day. But just remember that, and of course, all of these beautiful social media tips that we're going to provide you with, not just recycling knowledge. So yes, so bingo is something that is a very, very simple concept. Quite literally, I do an introduction like I did for you. Then we put up 4 different items. You use the polling function on Instagram stories. We used to use the quiz function, but they discontinued it because I think that Banish was the only account that was actually using it, which is very sad. So now you put a poll, so you vote, which is kind of, I think, more fun because then you can see what everybody else is reacting with. So you could kind of see how many people are going recycling or see how many people are going landfill. And then the next slide is a bit of an explainer about why that item can go into recycling or not go into recycling. And then at the end, everybody gives themselves a score out of 4. So you can see if you were average that week or if you're below average or if you're amazing. So I think that is something that's been really powerful and it's so simple. It's such an easy concept. And quite literally, I forgot to do it yesterday because I was just in mad panic about running and getting everything organized for this weekend. And I had people messaging me on DMs like, Lottie, you didn't post bingo this week. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just been too much. So I think it just shows the repetitiveness of just showing up. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're looking like. It's about fitting into people's routine. And I think that that's something that's really important with social media. If you think about your own social media usage, you probably might look at it at lunchtime, or you might look at it after school, or you might look at it on your way on the bus to school. So it's then about how do you fit in with people's routines, because then people are going to start to be like, oh, it's Wednesday. Let's see what I can and can't recycle. Or I don't know, it's a Sunday afternoon. Is there going to be a really fun update that's happening from the tie-dye project? Like, it's about becoming ingrained in people's routines so that then they start to anticipate and expect that content from you so that you can just keep on showing up again and again. Imogen, I will get you to play the first reel if that's all right.
Absolutely. I just jump on here. Turn some sound on.
Container, made sure it was
refresh.
nice and
So hopefully that starts from the beginning.
Takeaway sushi often comes with so much waste. Sometimes the rolls are individually wrapped in plastic. There's a plastic container, and then there's these plastic soy sauce fishies. So I thought I'd give it my best shot and took my very own container, made sure it was nice and clean, and then just took it to my local sushi place. They literally just grabbed it. They didn't even say anything. They didn't ask questions. They even gave me $1 off. It fits 5 rolls so perfectly, and then I've just got my own bottle of soy sauce back in the office, so I don't need to worry about it. Imagine if everybody started doing this, what a difference it'd have. Getting takeaway sushi often.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We don't need to hear my voice over and over again. But I think that this video is a really great example of relatability and of also just kind of sharing that message, but with a bit of a storytelling element as well. So this video, when posted, got 350,000 views on Instagram and 3.2 million on TikTok. The beauty of it is that, as you can see, literally, I was just taking a container to go to my local sushi place. So it took me very little to film. It's not professionally done. You can see the dodgy camera angles and everything like that. But it's just something that's so relatable because so many people love sushi. They consume those soy sauce fishies. They consume the plastic packaging. People I believe, want to bring their own containers, but they've never been able to do it. So by seeing what I'm doing is hopefully creating and being a role model for people so that then they can also do it too. So it's really great, I think, just engagement wise. It was a very simple video to put together. Personally, as you'll notice with the style that I put out online, it's very rough, it's very basic. Often it will be this. It'll be a video with my voiceover as an overlay because I find that if I'm trying to record a voiceover when I'm out in public, then it just looks weird, or somebody, I don't know, toots me in the background or something like that. So that's why I always like to record lots of content, lots of videos, and then record my voiceover and then snip it all together like that. Next one, please.
Yep. Just do the same.
So what you need to do is
Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, no. Oop. One more time.
aluminium when it looks like this because it's way too small. But aluminium is infinitely recyclable, which means that every time we recycle it, it maintains its quality and it can be turned into new aluminium. So what you need to do is you need to build a ball. So what you do is you get all of your small random bits of aluminium, you put them together and you build that ball until it's about the size of a tennis ball. When it grows to be that big, then you can put it into your curbside recycling bin and it'll be recycled. So you can't recycle aluminium when it looks like...
So pretty much we've just redone the exact same video for Easter and have used Easter egg wrappers. And I think it's a great example. This video got 1 million views when we posted it. And I also wanted to highlight the fact that our number one comment was negative feedback because some American didn't like the way that I say aluminium. But it's one of those things that, yes, I could probably be upset about it, but do I really mind? No. I'm Australian. I say aluminium this way. And also what a hot little tip is if there's something like this that is, yes, a little bit negative, it's actually helping you because it's driving up your engagement. So what I like to say to people is when they're being a bit negative, I'm like, you're actually helping me and you don't even realize. And also by commenting on this video, it means you're going to get a lot more videos of me pronouncing things very strange. So good for you. But yes, this video, again, same thing. It has that hook at the start, which says you can't recycle aluminium like this. So people are like, oh, hang on. Can I recycle aluminium or have I been doing it wrong? What's going on? And then the visuals, again, are very simple, very basic. My voiceover over the top. I always use captions on videos just in general from an accessibility perspective, but also the captions do help you when you are posting on the different platforms, because from an SEO, which is search engine optimization perspective, the different social media networks like Instagram and TikTok actually pull the captions. So then they'll be able to say this video is about recycling and aluminium and in Australia or whatever I've said, so that then they'll be able to push out that content without me even having to put it into the caption. So that's also another little tip for you. You can see I don't use a lot of hashtags when I'm posting. For this one, it was literally just recycle and aluminium foil. I think on TikTok, a couple more hashtags is important. So maybe I do about 5 on TikTok, but on Instagram, I don't really think it's as necessary to use those different hashtags. And again, it's not polished. It's not super beautiful. I've done a gazillion different shots and then I've just chopped them all together. But again, it comes back to, it was a 45-second video and somebody walked away knowing how to recycle aluminium foil. And looking at this video, you're going, oh my gosh, this is great, I've learned something. Or you've gone, I need to send this to somebody else in my household who also needs to know this, or I'm going to save this so that I remember it for next time. Next video, please.
Yes. Ooh, hold on. Sorry, I've got my Teams thing there. Just turn the sound on.
Turning them
and
into
refresh.
brand new. There's a micro recycling factory in the middle of the Sydney CBD. Yes, you heard that correctly. They're quite literally transforming things like bottle top lids, blister packs, beauty products, things that you can't recycle in your curbside recycling bin. They're hand sorting them, they're shredding them down, and they're turning them into brand new products at Central Station. You can send them to them in the mail, or you can drop them off at Central Station. They're also run by a team of volunteers who sort everything into the different waste streams and the bottle top lids by the different types of plastic and the different colors, and then you can actually see all of it getting transformed. It's so cool seeing recycling happening at a small scale, but quite literally in front of your eyes, and the impact that so many individuals are able to have all together. Did you know that there's a micro recycling factory?
Thank you. So this one kind of takes a bit of a different spin. So we've just done 2 more education-based videos, and then this one is pretty much more like it's not an ad, but it's kind of quite informative and it's a bit more pushy. It's being like, this is what we're doing. You can send me your recycling. This is how it happens. This is the behind the scenes. As you can see here, I haven't even counted, but there would be maybe like 30 different snippets, because we're always changing. We're always making it nice and snappy so that your eyes are never bored. You're not kind of waiting for the next thing. It's already popped up. As you can tell, we're not minimalists. There are so many different colors. There is so much going on there. The voiceover is snappy as well. And from this video, even though it hasn't got as many views, I think it's maybe at like 150,000, it has resulted in a lot of followers for us. So this video, I think we got 4,500 followers off the back of it, because it was able to be like, people were like, gosh, this is a really cool organization that I want to be a part of, that I want to understand what they're doing. I really like their mission. Whereas with the other 2 videos, we had better reach and we reached more people and they learned something, but they weren't necessarily going to follow us. They were just like, cool, thanks for the information, see you later. Whereas with this one, we're able to foster more of that community, because people are like, cool, I really want to be a part of this enterprise and what they're about. So that's why I think that when you're looking at the metrics of your different content, I'm not always looking at views. I'm often looking at the sends to friends, the saves, and also the followers that we get from the different content, because that is really important for us. You kind of want to have a bit of both. When we get videos like the aluminium foil that go out, what I kind of think it is, well, I try and imagine it in my head, it's like a giant fishing net that's gone out, but then it's like coming back in a couple of days later. And if you don't feed that content again to people, they'll just slip through the cracks. Whereas if you can then capture them with something that's really great content, that's really meaningful, then you're more likely to capture them and have them as longer term followers. There's some really great metrics that you can get through TikTok at the moment. And what they actually show you is so with an Instagram reel, you'll see the algorithm love data and statistics, or data. I might get in trouble in the comments for saying data, but with that, you actually can see, like, out of the 1 million people who watched this video, 20% of them were already following you. Whereas what what TikTok have just released is that you can see the number of people that are following you and not following you. Yes, is percentage, but you can also see, of the people who are not following you, the number of people that have seen your content before. So even though they're not following, they're the ones that are always watching. And it's a really interesting one, because I know for me personally, I don't actually follow that many people on TikTok, but I've got those people that I want to see in my feed all the time. And they're the ones that I'm like, oh, I saw a TikTok the other day about this, blah, 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 but I don't actually follow them. My tip is for the poor creators, and I'm going to do this myself, is if you do enjoy their content, please follow them, because it really does make a big difference. Also, if you do see content that you really enjoy, take that extra moment to like it or to send it to a friend, because it really helps the algorithm know that that's content that you appreciate. Yes, what I kind of think about is, when you look at a piece of content, it's kind of like a point system. So when you push out a piece of content for the first time, there's different weightings for different ways that people engage with that content. So if people view that content, that's 1 point. If somebody re-watches that content, again, that's another point. So you get 2 points. If somebody likes that post, that's worth 3 points. If somebody comments on that post, it's worth 4 points. And if somebody sends it to a friend, it's worth 5 points. So you're kind of looking to create that content that people want to send to a friend, because that's the most powerful metric that ultimately Instagram and TikTok are looking for, because that's where you're going to then start seeing your content expand and really reach larger audiences. So that's what I'm constantly asking myself when I'm putting something out, is I'm going, is this something that if I didn't know about Vanish, I would send to a friend? And I think that's a really good metric to go by as well. It's not kind of going, I want to be creating the content that is seen a gazillion times. It's creating impact and something that people will send to a friend or save ultimately. Next video, please.
Absolutely. I'm going to refresh.
I think I lost it, said that I was fine, said it from the coffin. Remember how I died when you started walking? That's my life, that's my life. I'm letting fight, taking out my earrings. Don't you know the vibe? Don't you know the feeling? You just spend the night, catch me on your ceiling. That's your price, that's your price. Well,
oh, almost got you on the rewatch there. Extra point for you there, Imogen. So as you can see, that's literally the point of this video. Is it's so short, it's so snappy. The way that I've cut the music is that you actually start watching it again without even realizing it, because of that loop. And you're like, but hang on, what's that machine that they're using there? What are those lids there? But then what's happening here? Like, you're like, it's like going into a chemist warehouse. Like, there's so much going on right now. You're just completely overwhelmed. And that's what ultimately the aim of this is, to make it so snappy and so fast that you get that like endorphin of being like, this is cool, this is fun. Click on the profile to find out more. So it's kind of like a teaser video. I call these I have a love-hate relationship with these montage videos. They are really easy to create, because I literally just go through my camera roll and select like 15 to 20 different videos, and then I just choose a trending audio and whack them together, and they will be done in 5 minutes. They then perform really well, and it really annoys me, because I'm like, I was saying to the girls before, I spent all afternoon on a video today that probably won't have as much reach as something that has taken 5 minutes would actually do. So I think that's one of my things, is like sometimes you use these as a bit of a palate cleanser or a way to like hack the system, because they perform so well, it means that then I put that big net out again, what I was talking about before, so that then I can come in tomorrow or the day after with some really powerful content to then really convert them on exactly what we're doing. So that's why I do think there is a use for these montage videos. They're also for us a really great way to connect with new audiences. So because of them being snappy, because of them being different, they capture people's attention so that then we can retarget them with that, I guess you could call it slower content, like it's just a bit more educational kind of content. So this one for us, I'm just trying to find the exact content. I think this one was at 2.3 million on TikTok. I think it only got 30,000 on Instagram. So you can see here, normally there's a pretty big correlation. If something goes well on TikTok, it's very likely that it'll go well again on Instagram, but this one didn't really marry up too well. But this montage we posted, and then it helped the content on either side. So it helped the content that I posted the previous day, then it helped the content that was coming the day after. But then literally I jumped on another trend 5 days later and posted another video that got 500,000 views. That was pretty much the exact same thing, just different snippets to cast that net out to then bring everybody back in through the funnel. So yeah, that is the point of, well, that's my love-hate relationship with montages. My biggest pet peeve with them is because they don't really educate. And that's what obviously we want to be doing, is educating. But if you think about them as in getting your net out, then that is why we like them. And then let's see what the last one is.
Yep. I just want to point out Molly's comment saying that she is very relaxed by watching this on repeat.
It's like ASMR or something.
We have done some ASMR videos, maybe because it's like all I see is like work over and over again. But that's why I think everybody does like watching it. Yeah.
Alrighty, I'll put this last video on.
Oh, yes. Goodie.
Every year that you use a plastic chopping board, it releases up to 50 grams of microplastics into your food and water.
Here are 31 ways to say no to plastic.
So a peer-reviewed study published in the Journal of Environmental Science and Technology found that plastic chopping boards made from polyethylene or polypropylene may in fact lead to significant amounts of microplastics in your food. It makes sense though, because if you've had a plastic chopping board for a while, you've probably noticed those slashes and slices. But have you ever considered exactly where that plastic has ended up? Well, one of the studies measured as many as 1,114 microplastic particles each time the board was used to cut carrots. But vegetables aren't the only thing that's getting crunchy. Studies have also found that plastic chopping boards release microplastics into meat, fruit, and vegetables. So make the switch to a bamboo or wooden chopping board. I've been using one for years and have seriously never looked back. Make the change, because small steps will make a big difference. Every year that you use a plastic chopping board...
Okay. That's a positive one to end on, isn't it? So this video, again, took a little bit longer to produce. You can see there's a lot more research has gone into it. There's been a lot more studies. I wrote a full voiceover and script, and then had a very clear shot list, if we're going to call it that, of exactly what I want to be filming. And this one did okay on Instagram. I think it got maybe 150k or something like that. On TikTok, it got 5 million views, and we were then nominated as one of the best it was nominated for one of the best TikToks of 2024 in Australia. You can see why. It had a really clear hook. You were kind of going like, what's that all over my kiwi fruit? It caught your attention. And then because the video had that line and shade of action, stats, action again, stats, you want to keep watching. You want to know what's going on. And our final clip and the starting clip are the same video. So you start watching it again without even realizing. So again, anybody who saw this wanted to share it with a friend. It was a huge one for engagement because of how scary it was. On TikTok, we had 2,000 comments on it, 126,000 likes, 13,000 saves. And that's not even the people sharing it with a friend, because it was that content that was so jarring that so many people were using chopping boards. They wanted to share this message with their friends. And then, as you can see, it was actually part of a longer series. So that cut of me at the kind of like 5-second mark being like, this is day, I don't know what it was, 13 of ways to reduce your plastic consumption, so that then the next time people saw it, they didn't even have to see my face to go, oh, yeah, I know what we're talking about here. We're talking about hidden plastics. Or if people enjoyed the content, they could then go, oh, this is part of a series. Where are the other hidden plastics as well? So that was kind of how we leveraged this content. And yeah, got it out. And it's obviously dramatic. Like, why am I doing air swings there? No, Fiona, unfortunately, I didn't eat the kiwi fruit that was covered in the plastics, but it was a very dramatic video. Those microplastics are pieces of plastic smaller than 5 millimeters in size. So yes, technically some of those shreds are microplastics, but yeah, it was all the absolute chaos of what's going on in that video. I also think something that during doing content for so long that I've really had to come to terms with is perfectionism. And like Molly was saying before about kind of always wanting to look pretty in a photo, and sometimes you have to post the photo that you don't look the best in. The content where we actually perform the best, or that has a bit of is the ones that has a bit of a glitch. It's people getting cranky at me saying aluminium wrong. It's me being tongue-tied and not editing it and just moving on and keeping on going. It's all of the videos when I was walking to work back in the day, when I would get tooted, I kept on posting them because I was like, well, I just have to post my first take because that's me and that's real and that's me showing up. It's not me sitting down and perfecting it over and over again. You might hear a different voice now on the Banish social media because we've now got somebody called Hannah who's also working on the account with us, which is really great. And as I'm training her up, a common theme is it doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to get it out there, because I think that's the thing with social media. You see a trend, you see something, it could be really timely. It's Easter. We need to be posting that content about the Easter eggs. So we need to get it out now. And you spending an extra hour editing something that nobody is actually going to see the difference in those two edits, or it might not even go that well. Sometimes when I can't decide with a TikTok whether I like this hook or that hook, I'll post both of them at the same time and I'll just see what works. Instagram has a really fun feature at the moment called trial reels. So what you can do is you can actually post a video in trial mode and it goes out to people who are not your followers. And then in a couple of hours, you can look at the settings and modify them. A couple of hours later, you can look back and it'll say this video is going well, or this video is not going so well. So for us, that's something that's really great. If we're having a debate in the office and I'm like, I think that this hook is better, and Hannah's like, well, I think we should try this one, we'll be like, well, let Instagram decide for us, and we'll just post both of them on the trial reels as well. I think from a community perspective as well, we've loved using social media to connect with community. So we have a broadcast channel on Banish, which is called Sustainable Swappers. We have the same named one on Facebook as well. Facebook groups work a little bit differently because everyone can kind of interact and people are asking more questions, whereas broadcast channels kind of have to be driven a little bit more by us. You can't just let everybody talk all the time. So you kind of have to be like, how's your day going today? Like this, or do a reaction to this. But again, the way that I find that we have success with the broadcast channel is by showing up regularly. So it's every Friday is Feel Good Friday. Share the best thing that's happened to you all week. So that is going to be something, again, that is consistent and very much about routine that everybody knows to expect from us. And they can be like, cool, that's something that's really fun that I want to share on my Friday. The other thing as well, the other feedback that I get from people, because we have a lot of interaction. Obviously, a lot of people meet us and find out about Banish through social media, and then they'll come to the Sustainability Hub, or they'll come to a volunteering session, or they'll come to one of my book tour events. And everybody always comments on, first, how tall I am. Everyone's like, I can't believe you're so much taller than you look online. I'm like, well, that's because I'm never with anybody else in my videos. It's always selfie mode, like from up here as well. But also it's that I am the same person. And I think that that is such a compliment, because that's how I try to show up online, is I'm just having a chat. When I get on Instagram stories, I don't think about the football stadium sized analogy, because I think then that would just put me into absolute paralysis. And if I thought, I think Banish is at like 124,000 followers. That's like more people than the SCG and the MCG combined. Yeah, I'm not thinking about football stadiums when I'm getting on Instagram stories. Instead, I'm thinking about my 1 or 2 girlfriends who I know are on their sustainability journey and are very slowly picking it up and doing little things bit by bit. So when I get on stories, it's just me having a chat. It's just me saying, here's what I'm up to. Here's what we're doing. I think today we were talking about the earrings that we're making from the recycled plastics. It's also, I think, in order to grow and expand on these platforms, you need to utilize all of the features that they are putting out there. So when Instagram releases new functions or new metrics, use them, because they have spent time and money investing in these different functions. So they want to love the people who are actually utilizing them. So you'll notice again today, like when we posted our Instagram stories, you can actually, can you play them, Imogen? Because you're on our profile anyway. So if you just go to Banish, yep. And then if you just click the big Banish, yep, perfect. So you can see, oh, look, she's wearing the same top, not pre-recorded. So that was me just being like, yep, we had our earring release, blah, 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 same person, next slide. And then again, we're using the poll functions. Love a poll. Love to also use this for feedback. Oh, the right answer was midnight. Nobody got it right. It took us all by surprise. And then it's like, what was your favorite earring design that we've released? Use the slider. So we're using different functions that Instagram have put out, which is then going to mean that Instagram likes us more. A little type something box. Cheeky, very, very cheeky. And then there's the answer for everybody else. So there I am again. We're just utilizing those features and those functions. So I think if I was to summarize all of the different things, there's been a lot of different learnings. But my biggest thing, I think, is, like Molly was saying, showing up authentically. When you do post quality, not quantity. So I don't have metrics around the number of times I want to post in a week, but I have metrics around when I do post, I want it to be something that people will learn from, people will share with a friend, and people will remember. So that's a really big thing for me. If I was to be starting out again right now, I would be leaning quite heavily on TikTok, because I think it's a really great way to test and to trial new things. Whereas Instagram, I think, positions itself a bit more as a pretty and aesthetic demographic, or just a platform in general. I think if I do receive negative feedback, which, like, the negative feedback I receive is like recycling's a sham. Like, that's the breadth of negativity that I get. So for me, I'm very fortunate that I don't receive a lot of negativity, or I don't really take it personally. So that's been great. But if you are feeling overwhelmed by it, take a break. You can easily switch comments off. We're very lucky that we have such an engaged community that they will like fight other people for me in the comments, so I don't engage with negativity online. if that person who was cranky at me for saying aluminium the wrong way, like literally couldn't have cared less, didn't message them, didn't comment on them, just said thanks for the engagement and then kept on keeping on. And I think it would be, making sure you've got that clear message and that clear, captivating way that you're going to engage with the different group.
Amazing, Lottie. There is so much to unpack from that, and I have been busy writing notes to implement in my own social media from all that you shared. So thank you so much for all of your insights. If anyone has any questions for Lottie, please pop them in the chat. I'll start with one question to get us started. And you mentioned bringing Hannah on board to support you with the social media creation. And I think obviously Banish has grown to be huge now, and a lot of people, I'm sure, would relate Banish to Lottie and Lottie to Banish, and they kind of go hand in hand. How have you managed the shift towards Banish not just being your identity or your personality and vice versa?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think I was probably doing a better job at it a couple of years ago than I am doing now at it. When a couple of years ago, when I was growing Banish as a social enterprise, I quite consciously was trying to separate Banish from Lottie. The other reason why you don't often see my face in videos is because when I'm trying to talk to people about changing their behaviors, I want them to envisage themselves doing that behavior, not me doing that behavior. So say, for example, with the sushi takeaway container, there wasn't my face in that because it was just the container. So people can go, oh, I want to take my container next time. But when it comes to socials, it's very confusing. Really, when Hannah and I are having our meetings about like what we're doing, things like that, we use like all of these different terms. Like we've got like Lottie Talk, Banish Talk, Lottiegram, Banish Instagram, and they kind of all have a core purpose. So there isn't too much crossover. But say, for example, Lottie on TikTok is very educational. She's very much about that like sustainability expert era. Whereas Banish TikTok is more about those like video montages to where we post those Churn Tuesdays, which I actually didn't play, but that's like when every Tuesday we post a video, coming back to that consistency and being part of people's routines. So Churn Tuesday is where we post a video creating one of the products, say for example, the pens from the bottle top lids. And people quite literally are like, I want you to put yellow and green in a pen and what color will it make? And we'll do that for the next one. It's a very simple concept. So that's kind of the differentiation between Banish Talk and Lottie Talk. When it comes to Instagram, Banish is the bigger Instagram. The Lottie Instagram is more like Lottie as an author, Lottie as a kind of a sustainability expert, but because I started on Banish, that is kind of where Lottie still sits. Hannah's voice is popping up. And yes, there have been comments from people being like, who's this? Why is her voice there? And then we just have to do a video being like, oh, by the way, like heard a different voice. Like Lottie hasn't done one of those like voice muffling things. Like we've got a new person coming on board. And I think that's something as well that we really rely heavily on our Instagram and TikTok comments and DMs. Because if we're starting to see the same question asked a bunch of times, then that's a hole in our content that we need to be filling with education. So we're constantly reading, even though we're not reacting to all of them, but constantly being like, oh, that's something that probably wasn't as clear as it should have been in that video, or we assumed too much knowledge. So we need to go back and create more content like that. But also, I think something to note is that so many times, like I was saying before, like with the Easter egg wrappers, I was going, oh, we posted this video last Easter. Do you think that we should still do the same content again? It seems a bit boring. Neck minute, like definitely not boring. Definitely still people out there that need that reminder. So I think that you can be your own worst critic. So that's why I'm always conscious of just kind of stepping back from it, taking a breather and then going, yeah, we should be putting this out.
I love that. And getting into more of the logistics, I know that you mentioned like the 5 points for sharing, the 4 points for comment, all of those things, and that kind of qualitative data. How do you firstly pivot and adjust to new things on social media like the polls, the reels, like that it's always evolving, as you said. How do you learn? And is it by trial and error? And also, does Banish do any paid ads? And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I love it when there's new features. At first, I'm like, oh my gosh, not another thing that we're going to have to try. But then I'm like, oh no, this is kind of fun. This is kind of exciting. This is cool. Like the trial reels at the moment, I love
I had
it.
no
I'm
idea
like,
about
this
that.
is, yeah. Oh, they're so fun. Because you can just post 3 different things and be like, and even if it's something that you posted on TikTok, be like, I don't think this is really like the Instagram vibe. Just post it as a trial, see what happens. So that's been really fun to see. Banish as a social enterprise and a business does post Facebook ads and Instagram ads. We don't do TikTok ads at the moment. But for us, I actually utilize a lot of our best performing content to then post as a ad. So for example, I will post 2 different videos, like 2 days apart, and then I'll see which one performs best organically, and then I'll go, great, I think that will then make a really good ad for us. So when we're selling things like the pens made from the recycled plastic bottle top lids, or selling the office sets that are made from bottle top lids as well. That's a core part of our social enterprise, is growing that revenue stream so that we can keep on educating people. So that's why we do the ads.
That sounds like a very good way to do it. And I will definitely be trying the trial reels. I feel like that's so awesome. Instead of putting it out to everyone, just giving it a little testing the water first is great.
Me
So I
too.
thought, yep.
100% me too. Might just do one tonight.
Why not? We'll all be posting tonight. But to wrap up, why don't we think about Mol, Lottie, and anyone else who's in the chat? You can either, raise your hand and come off mute or share it in the chat. But if we had to come up with a hook that captured someone's attention in 3 seconds, whether it's tie-dye project, Banish, or any social cause or business that you are involved in or that you care about, I don't know. Mold, any come to mind that you...
I actually, funny enough, when I was like listening to Lottie speak, it sparked my memory. But I saw this thing on TikTok the other day, and it was all about how when you post something, a lot of the time your post will go better. And I think it's just a good tip if it's like a negative hook, which sounds like in social media you don't want anything to be negative. But if it's like I post something that's like, this is how I tie-dye shirts, it will go so well. But if I post something and say, I've been tie-dyeing shirts wrong my whole life, automatically that's going to go better. And so I think that's just like straight away, like that hook needs, a lot of the time it can go better if some way you can make it not too negative, because you still want it to be like lighthearted and fun, but it just catches people's attention. So I can think about that with my
No, I love that. And I think it's also just like trialing a couple of them. Like it doesn't have to be like, you could literally have the exact same video, but then you do 2 different hooks and then you post it on trial reels and then you see what works. I didn't know these 3 facts about Harry Styles. See, I think you should change that around Imogen. I would probably say something like, you'd never believe this about Harry Styles. So it's like, because I think, I bet you didn't know, because you've got 3 seconds to capture somebody.
Yeah.
So
That's
I bet
really
you didn't know
helpful.
is too long, I think.
So what did you say change it to?
Oh no, I've forgotten it.
You'd
Like,
never
I can't
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd never believe, because that's probably more into it. And
Scandalous.
also trying to be very good. We don't like to use betting terminology when we're trying to engage with people. So that's also another big thing, is that I'm conscious of never using terminology around gambling, and also would never use language around like, that's so crazy. That would be something that I would also always refrain from using too. There's a really great resource, the Butterfly Effect, and they've got some really great different resources on language. that's really great to look at from just like a health perspective, because there's so many things that I think we used to grow up saying, a lot of these terms that we probably shouldn't be saying anymore.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's a
feel like
really
that's
good
a
point.
that's a great way to finish, I think. And I would say I would love to know what everyone else's takeaways were, but I think for mine it was from Mole, start from the heart. I love that, and I think that you channel that, and I'm going to continue to channel that. And Lottie, I love the need to be consistent. I feel like your social media presence is proof that when you show up for your community and you give them that anticipation, they know what to expect and they look forward to that content. So
Yeah, I also just have to say before you finish up, Rubes, I think you have like plugged Lottie and I all night, but you all need to go and follow Womankind as well. What you do is like honestly incredible, and the work that you're doing in the mental health space, and especially, you know, all of us being young women here, yeah, definitely go give them a follow as well.
oh, Mo, you're so kind. Well, thank
Thanks,
you so
Rubes.
much. And this is one of many events held by Women New South Wales and the Rural Women's Network. So be sure to stay in touch with them and with us on social media. We do not want to be strangers with any of you. So stay connected. And thank you so much for joining today. And this session has been recorded. So we will send it to you, I think, on a link so that you can rewatch it and take more notes if you want. But have a lovely and safe Easter long weekend. And thank you so much again for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.